Namaste, everyone. We are all back with another podcast. Now let's refresh our intros first, starting with Avani.
Namaste, everyone. I'm Avani Rai. I'm from Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm a rising sophomore.
Hi, I'm Manasi, and I just completed my third year of university. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Hi, I'm Siddharth. I'm going to 8th grade and I'm from Cary, North Carolina.
Namaste, I'm Shambhavi. I'm a rising freshman and I'm from Dallas, Texas.
And namaste, I'm Arya. I am a rising sophomore and I live in Cupertino, California. So now moving on to today's podcast, which is regarding the Sangha Geet, Jayostute, a song which was meant to express the need for independence in India. We'll start with the basic level interpretation of the Geet and its composer, and then later on we'll speak to a Karyakarta to understand the Geet at a deeper level and a little bit more about the meaning. So now let's move on to the rest of the podcast, starting with some information about the Geet first, talking about the author first, and then discussing the actual meaning of the Geet.
Namaste. Jayostute is a very patriotic Geet written by Veer Savarkar which talks about what freedom really means and how much it means to him. For over 100 years, Britain ruled India unfairly and exploited the land and its people. Multiple times during this period, people tried to fight back against Britain and Veer Savarkar was one of them. Veer Savarkar was a great revolutionary in the fight for freedom. He wrote many poems and books regarding India's independence, and in this poem, Veer Savarkar is seeking blessings for success in gaining India's independence. He was even arrested for trying to gain independence, and while he was in jail, he wrote the book Hindutva. Veer Savarkar was so passionate about India that one time he jumped out of a boat in the sea to go back to India. This passion led him to make many poems just like Jayostute. The deeply rooted patriotism in him can be seen in all of his literature.
So now that we've understood the author's means to writing this Geet and about the situation of India in which the Geet was written, now we can begin to dive into the actual meaning of the Geet.
In the poem, he is praising the goddess of freedom and he is asking for her blessings for their success. He talks about how important she is and even says that life is to die for you and death is to live without you. This shows how willing Savarkar was to gain independence and how much this mattered to him.
All right, so now that we've gone over some background information about the Geet, let's dive a little deeper into the message behind it with the help of a Karyakarta. Ajay Joshi ji, a Swayamsevak from Dallas, Texas, who goes to Vijay Shaka and is the Southwest Sambhag Sharik Pramukh, will be helping us answer some of our questions. Manasi, I'll hand it over to you.
Namaste, Ajay-ji.
Namaste.
So, in the Geet, the word Swatantra appears many times. Coincidentally, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar is often referred to as Swatantra Veer Savarkar. Could you explain what Swatantra means and why it was applied to Savarkar?
Yes. First of all, let me start by saying that this Geet, I have been listening to it since my very childhood, and it has inspired me, and the patriotic feelings I have, at least some portion of them, I can attribute to this Geet and being exposed to it. So thanks for giving me this opportunity and choosing this particular Geet for your podcast. The word Bhagwati here, he refers to it as goddess or refers to goddess, and Swatantrata is freedom. So Swatantrate Bhagwati, he is referring to personifying freedom itself as goddess of freedom. And then Swatantrata, as I understand it from the Geet, and Veer Savarkar has used it in a very holistic and spiritual way. Not just political freedom from British, but freedom in terms of thought, arts, education, language, which will allow the complete original natural character of Bharat to manifest. Even the freedom from social evils, which became part of Bharat's life or society in the medieval ages. This is evident from the many adjectives he has used, like moksha, mukti, that is liberation, are your forms. You are the one whom the yogis, having known Vedanta, call as Parabrahma, that is the all-pervading God. These are the words that give meaning to the word Swatantrata, as Savarkar has called it in the poem. Veer Savarkar himself strived for this freedom, as you have mentioned in the podcast thus far, since his early days till his last breath. Even after political freedom, he was still fighting things such as social injustice. So he was fighting for freedom all his life, and therefore the title of Swatantraveer was conferred on him.
Thank you for sharing your experience with this gate and the explanation. My next question is so one of the verses refers to the goddess of freedom, Bhagavati, as the radiance of the sun and the majesty of the ocean. Then it expresses that for Bhagavati, the sun of freedom is eclipsed. So, how can this translation be interpreted?
Right. Before I come to the exact answer to your question, let me first define what Bharat means. The word Bharat can be broken into Bha and Rata, and the sun also has this first letter Bha. Bhaskar means the one who creates light is Bhaskar, that is sun. And Bharat, Rat means the one, the people or the nation that revels in the light, that is Bha, of knowledge is Bharat. Therefore, he has referred to Swatantrate Bhagavati as radiance of the sun and also majesty of the ocean, because without it, the life itself is very shallow, only based on survival or existence. Now, what happens when Bhagavati is not there? That means without which this radiance of the sun is unavailable, therefore eclipsed. And in presence, this eclipse is dispelled. The word anyatha is important here. Anyatha grahana nashta. So the grahana nashta happens when Bhagavati Swatantrata is present. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Um, and our final question was Jayostute. It's a gate that, as we discussed, falls under that patriotic genre. So consider this. Overall, what was the role of music during the independence movement?
Right. Let me first ask you a question, and maybe you guys can just speak a few words about it. What Sangha Geet mean to all of us? Can you just maybe few words?
I think for the most part, many sung gates always remind us of the mission and vision. Um, yeah, I think that's like the first thing that comes into mind when I think about sung gates.
I think it's also a way to connect us because it doesn't matter where you're from or how old you are or how long you've been involved in Sangha because the tune you're singing is the same.
And like also I feel like it kind of like invokes like a little like spark in you or like a feeling in you to like come and unite and come and like you know how Monsi was talking about the mission, like the vision and mission. So to also sing about that. It's a great feeling.
Yeah,
Right.
basically what Arya said, like it kind of sparks something in you, and I feel like you get a deeper meaning about your roots and how we can come together because of that.
Okay, I think so. If we put together all the little bits and pieces that you guys spoke, that the Geet gives us some direction about our goals, then ignites the spark, that means inspires us to take action. And we all feel that togetherness when we sing it together. This is exactly the role, the genre of Geet that we're talking about, patriotic Geet, sparked in the revolutionaries, that they got that inspiration from this. And if we want to think about it, I will give one more example of the Geet, that is Vande Mataram. We all have known this Geet, and this Geet was written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay ji, and it sparked the freedom struggle like anything. And Jayostute is the same genre of Geet, that it sparked this passion for freedom, this inspiration among people, and people sang it together. Then they have that feeling that yes, we all should work together and achieve the freedom. This is, I believe, the contribution of Geet. That means just like for us in Sangha, they remind us of the direction and the goals that we have, and bring out that fervor in us when we sing together. Same thing happened to the revolutionaries when they were singing these Geet like Jayostute or Vande Mataram.
Thank you, Ajayji.
Namaste.
We really appreciate you sharing your insights and really helping us understand the Geet in greater depth.
Yes, thank you, Ajayji, for answering our questions. So now that we've come to the end of the podcast, let's recap. We started with the broader idea of the Geet Jayostute, a song that has held such a profound meaning for thousands, if not millions, of those struggling for their freedom, and as we've seen today, even now in the future. Then we went deeper into the Geet's meaning, and finally went into the overarching messages behind it with the help of Ajayji. And now, to end our podcast off, here is our team playing Jayostute. We hope we do it justice.
Jayostute, Jayostute, Shri Mahan Mangale, Shivaspade Subade. Swatantrate Bhagavati Twamaham Yashoyuta Vande, Yashoyuta Vande.